Hey all, today we're going to be making a building. So you're probably going to want to start by just kind of scaling it to the correct size. And at about this height you want to extrude it up, depending on the design that you're going for, but something along these lines. You'll probably want something other than just a generic block shape. You probably want some kind of macro level detail like that on the building, and then maybe a bit higher than that. Yeah, something like that. Roofs always have details like this, so if you go ES Shift Z and then just drag out, you can get something that looks like that. And then let's do the same thing just to add some kind of layering, and then scale that in as well. Let's add in some windows. So I'm just going to go into face select mode and then select the inside faces and delete them. And then I'm going to make sure that my rotation and scale are applied. And then I'm going to select constant offset and then just drag this so. Something like that. Maybe I'll go 5, then add another array. So I'm just going to duplicate this, so Shift D, S, and then for this one, I'm going to have this as the cutout object. So I'm just going to hit M and then put it in a cutout collection. I'm going to solidify this, put that up here. Let's just apply the rotation scale on everything. Buildings typically go alongside sidewalks, so just model in a sidewalk. I'm probably going to use another object for the sidewalk, so one of them is for the curb, the other is for the sidewalk. So just go ahead and join those after snapping them over to the building. And then let's make sure we're at the right size. It's a bit small, maybe a bit more than that. I'm going to add a little bit of an indent. I don't know if that's the right term for it. In order to keep the topology looking decent, I'm also going to add these edges before extruding in. So just go into face select mode, select this face here, and then just E, and then just kind of move it down a little bit. Let's array that across now. So switch that to -1. Now, if you try to UV project like a bunch of different meshes, it's going to give some odd results. So it's better to do them separately. I don't know if there's an add-on or something that can do them separately if you select all of them. But just hover over one of them and then hit L and then U, Smart UV Project. I just like to click on here so that it deselects that one, and then L, U, Smart UV Project. Let's add in some pillars. So this is another thing that kind of depends on the building style that you're going for. I'm just going to select this face loop, so just go into face select mode, alt click this edge, and then ES Shift Z, and then scale in just a little bit, and maybe like that, yeah. Slash, so / to go into a local view, and then just set the origin to 3D cursor there, and then / to go back into standard view. From here I can just go SZ, sort of line it up. Let's get our booleans working here. So just select the main building, add a boolean modifier, collection, cutouts. I like to add a solidify as well. If you need the inside of the building to have the correct normals as well, you're going to want to solidify anyway. So I'm going to start getting our doors and windows on this bottom area. Now some doors are more kind of circular. A trick to creating something like that is by starting with a cylinder, and then I'm going to go into top view mode, and then just edit mode, face select mode, wireframe mode, and then just select half of it, and then just delete faces, and now we have this kind of half cylinder. So if you just hit E, then it's going to be kind of going around like that, but if you hit Z, then it will just go on the Z axis. So now we have this kind of door, and you can scale it out on the X to adjust that. And you want to make sure that it's the correct height. So mine might be a bit small. In my case, what I'm going to do is have a bit of a design like here, and then this will be the actual door like below this line. Now these things here are going to go in between like the shops and whatnot. So we can have like one here. Now these are going to be our cutouts. So to sort of explain what I'm doing, these cubes that are touching ground, those are going to be our doors, and then those that aren't touching ground, like this one and this one, those are going to be the windows. So for the design in this top section, I'm going to add a path. And just kind of curve it a little bit. So if you're unfamiliar with curves, you can go into edit mode just like a mesh, but you see these little points. These aren't vertices, these are control points. And if you drag one of these up, you see this like little bend. That's the actual curve. The control points are useful for kind of shaping the curve. So like when you it's similar to having a mesh with like a subdivision surface, in that when you like drag it like that, when you like drag one of the vertices like that, it will kind of move this part of the mesh towards that direction. And then we have curve settings here. If we go to the geometry dropdown and then extrude it, you can see that it's adding a surface. Let's apply the rotation scale and then increase the depth a little bit. So the depth will kind of add some surface area this way, and then extruding will add some surface area that way. So like if you don't have any depth, it's just a 2D object. But yeah, just a little bit of depth and a little bit of extrusion. This is going to go alongside a cube. I will scale in like that, and then so I'm just going to press I to inset, and then E, and then just move it in a little bit. And we can just kind of scale this down so that it fits in, and then duplicate it a couple times. Now, as for this, I want this to be kind of circular, and a good way of doing that is by selecting, so if you alt click one of the edges here, it'll select like one of the sides, so you can just duplicate that, and then P by selection, separate this part, and then I'll just delete this object now, and then we can right click on this, convert to curve. Now we have that same kind of edge loop, but it's a curve now. So we can make it circular shaped by increasing this depth. And right now it's not looking great because we haven't applied the scale. Let's just insert that in now. You can see that the bottom side needs to be a bit longer than the top side, otherwise we're going to have issues. So just extend that. Now let's add these to the cutouts collection. And right now it looks to be working fine. We don't need to delete the inside faces. I forgot this one. If you have the floor of the building kind of snapped to the sidewalk, it's going to do this weird thing with the Boolean. So my recommendation is to grab the bottom of the building and then just drag down a little bit. And then that way we don't get that weirdness. Just gonna add in the windows now. So that's it for part 1, and great job making it this far.